Hello, you're watching Program Pride. My name is Todd Janes.
And I'm Lenore Lemay.
Well, what a great show we have this time around. We have a bunch of different segments that really reflect the diversity of the gay, lesbian, bisexual community. I have a taped interview that I did a little while ago with an organization called Clit.Lit.
And I'm going to be back in the studio with Lori from GALACA.
And after that, I'm into an interview with Richard Gregory from the Calgary Police Liaison Committee.
But first, I'm going to be talking to Norm Althouse from Stonewall Connections. Hi, Norm. Welcome to Program Pride.
Well, thank you for having us.
Norm, what is Stonewall Connection?
Stonewall Connection is a travel and tour company that markets to the gay and lesbian community. We are owned by gay and lesbians and operated by gay and lesbians. We are also owned by Intertravel Escapes, which is our full IATA travel agency, full service.
Great. And I understand that the gay games are happening in Amsterdam in '98. Tell us about the gay games.
The gay games, this will be the 5th gay games held in Amsterdam, August 1st to 8th in 1998. They're expecting 15,000 participants. The gay games will focus equally on cultural events as well as the sports, which is very important. They're having many interesting festivals, cultural activities, etc., as well as approximately 30 sporting events. Some of the festivals that they will be having and focusing on is the Chorus Festival, storytelling, and the Women's Festival, which is really exciting for us in Canada. We're looking forward to it because Stonewall Connection is Canada's official travel agency to the Games. So we will be organizing tours and travels for Canadians traveling to the Games.
Sounds great. I know a lot of people, when they think about the gay games, they think only about the sporting events, but it's so much broader than that.
Oh, definitely. This one is probably the first that is focused equally on a cultural event as well as sports. The theme for this is friendship through cultural and sports activities. And we're looking forward to having people from Canada first time or second or third time to Amsterdam, going on the canal cruises, learning the gay history. And Amsterdam being probably the most tolerant city for gays and lesbians, we're very excited.
Sounds great. Tell us about, do you think that Amsterdam is a good location in terms, can they accommodate the people that are going to be there?
A few of the participants and spectators will be staying outside of actual Amsterdam. It is a fairly small town. It has a standing population of about 300,000. And so people will be having to go travel to Amsterdam and out. But we do have 800 beds blocked for the games, so we're full service for the people.
Great. How soon should people be thinking about this? I mean, I know we're talking about something that's happening in 1998.
It is in 1998, but it's very important that people book as soon as they have confirmed that they do want to go. Space is very limited. There is approximately 30,000 beds total in Amsterdam reserved for the games. So as soon as somebody blocks a space, they will be guaranteed a room.
Great. I'm not really sure I'm clear on this. Are you saying that as the official carrier, that it would be best if I booked just with your organization, if I wanted to go to the gay games, not another travel agent?
Right. With Stonewall being Canada's official travel agency to the games, we are preferred supplier. So we have the best hotels available. We have the best packages. Because we are shipping so many people over there, we have the best prices with the airlines as well.
Great. What would your package include?
Our package includes airfare, 9 nights accommodation, transfers from the airport, gay canal cruise, sightseeing of Amsterdam, and also public transport passes.
Sounds great. If people are interested, what should they be doing?
They should be calling us as soon as possible in Calgary at 250-3061. Outside of Calgary, within Canada or continental United States, 1-888-22-TRIPS.
And do you have a website?
Yes, we do, and it's very important that people check our website out. We're very excited. We've just finished developing it, and it can connect right into the gay games.
Sounds fabulous. Thank you very much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay.
Hi, I'm sitting in Boys Town, a place where I often come and just sit down and read a book and, well, not read the entire book, but read parts of a book and drink a coffee or two or 6 And I thought it would be really interesting if we could talk to someone today about reading and some of the things that are happening. Joining me on Program Pride today is Deb Bryson, who's a member of a lesbian book club called Clit.Lit. Debbie, I was wondering if you can tell me a little bit about how Clit.Lit started and the stuff you do.
Okay. We got started about 7 months ago. I was at a Pink Tank meeting and with my partner, and someone approached us because my partner's on the radio and often talks about books that she's reading, and a woman who wanted to get a book club started approached us and asked us if we'd be interested in attending a meeting. So we had a meeting and we got the book club started.
So is this like Double Day or something where you all go out and buy the same book? And
Not necessarily. We some of us already have the books that we're reading. We try to use the library as much as possible and try to share the books around if one of us has a copy. So we don't. It's not necessary to buy the book.
So it's not like financially restrictive, or
No, hopefully not.
Oh, great. Now, you discuss usually one book a month?
Yes.
And go ahead, sorry.
We've started off with a list of books that we've either read or heard good things about, and then we've just selected a book a month and read it and discuss
So
it.
you sat down as a group and kind of said, oh, I want to read this book, or I've read this book, and can we talk about it?
Right. We initially just started off by talking about the kind of books that we like to read, the kind of authors we've read and enjoyed.
Like lesbian mysteries.
Lesbian mysteries was one of the genres that we chose. The books are lesbian books, and we
Which
just
means
chose
lesbian characters or by lesbian
Right.
writers? Or
Yeah, it's a good question. We had a big discussion about that. We want to remain flexible, but we thought that we would try to read as many books by lesbians about lesbians as we could.
As opposed to pocket novels about
exactly.
there were two women in it.
Yes. But our first book, one of our first books was a book written by a man, but there were lesbian characters in it. So if it, so there's some flexibility, but we're tending to stick to lesbian content.
So you meet once a month, usually in the evenings.
Yes.
And what types of things do you discuss, like how the book affected you, if it's a true reflection
Yes.
of...
We usually start off by talking about the content of the book, things that we liked about the book, things that we didn't like, whether we felt the characters were real or well developed. We talk about it from sort of a literary sense as well as the characters and whether they reflect our lives, our stories, whether they seem like people we know or we'd like to know. And then we talk about, depending on the book, often issues are written about in the book. And we've often launched into discussions about those issues and how they pertain to our lives or how they affect our lives, whether we've, had that same kinds of experiences. So the stories are often a jumping off point for us to talk about what our own lives have been like. And
Great, so it's not necessarily like a literary analysis of a book, it's how that is true to you, to an individual's life.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both, but certainly the important part is, or one of the more interesting parts is how they pertain to our own lives. So
And how many people are roughly in the group now?
I think there's about 8 people. We don't have sort of real strict rules about attendance, so some people
What
have
about
come
if you
a few
didn't read
times.
the book that month, or you didn't finish it?
This has happened, and certainly people could come and join in the discussion because it's often a discussion about issues rather than just the content of the book. So.
Great. I'd love to thank you for coming in and talking about this. I think it's really important that we do things like this because it gives gay, lesbian, bisexual people an opportunity to explore other things and meet new people and network. And I think that's really important.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, we're back in the studio with Lori Harris from GALACA. Hi, Lori. Welcome to Program Pride.
Thank you.
Tell us, what does GALACA stand for?
GALACA is Gay and Lesbian Association of Central Alberta.
And who do you serve?
Central Alberta, pretty much.
So does that mean Red Deer, Rimbey, Bentley?
All the surrounding areas around Red Deer.
Great. How long have you been in existence?
GALACA's been here since '92. It was organization prior to that, but they just changed the name and executive.
So what do you do? Like, what is your organization involved with?
We try to have a little bit of support and information and also social activities, that kind of thing.
Anything up and coming that you're directly working on?
We have a dance coming up February 8th for Valentine's Day, and it's being held at Burbank Hall out in Blackfalds. And it's pretty much what we have going for the moment.
I understand that GALACA is involved with the Great Alberta Campout.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, that's quite a big event every year we have, Labor Day weekend, and this will be our 4th year this coming year. And it seems to be getting bigger and better every year. We have people from all over Alberta and other provinces as well. And anyone's invited to it, of course.
So anyone's a welcome from all across Alberta?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Great. And how long has that been going on?
This will be our 4th year this year.
Great.
So.
What are the future plans and goals for GALACA?
Well, as far as future goals go, we just like to have social outlets for the community and just try to have things going just so they have a place to go socialize and get together. So that's really our goals, and eventually we'd like to see a youth group formed. There was one at one time, but we'd like to, down the road when we're a little more structured, see if we can have something like that going for the youth.
Now, I heard rumor that you're also involved with an information line.
Yes, our phone line is going to be support and information line. So when people phone in, we try to gather support from around Red Deer, or information, sorry, for ongoing activities, and from Calgary and Edmonton also. And so when people phone in, we try to let them know what's happening, and also any kind of counseling or that type of thing. That's where the support comes in. If they're looking for something like that, we let them know what there's available here.
So if one of our viewers is watching and lives in a rural part of central Alberta, they could call the information line and find out the kinds of things that are going on around.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk about the Great Alberta Campout a little bit more. I'm not a camper, but have you been to one?
Oh, yeah, I've been to the last 3 of them, yes.
Tell us about it. What do you do?
Well, we started off on the Friday night with the wiener roast and a greet and meet night. It's basically while the campers come in, get settled. We have private sites, and also a big group site and a hall there. Then as the weekend goes on, we have all kinds of activities going on throughout the day, a variety of activities to suit everyone's needs. And then 2 big dances, the 2 nights, and we try to have entertainment at least one of the dances. This year we're hoping to get Edmonton Vocal Minority at the one dance. And it's just a really active weekend. Everyone that's attended previously have had a really good time, and we've heard nothing but good things about it.
It sounds like fun. You might, have convinced me that maybe I could pull out a sleeping bag. Tell me what kind of support you need from the community.
Well, any ideas from the community would be great. What they'd like to see as far as social activities, we're just trying to go by the little bit we're getting in from the community. And if they have any ideas what they'd like to happen or see, as far as, like I say, activities or any kind of support groups,
Do you need volunteers right now for anything?
Yes, we can always use volunteers. And I'm actually in the midst of putting together our committee for the campout, searching for volunteers for that also. So anyone interested, definitely.
Okay. Thanks a lot for being here, Laurie.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Shannon Miller, head coach of the women's national hockey team. We will be competing at the World Championships March 31st to April 6th in Kitchener, Ontario. As well, watch for me in an interview on Program Pride. Bye, score right now! Woo!
Sometimes it can be very difficult to live your life as an openly gay, bisexual, or lesbian person. Sometimes that even becomes harder if you're a victim of a gay bashing or an assault. That becomes even more complex if when you have the courage to go to the police, you don't get the respect, admiration, or the treatment that you deserve as an individual. With me today in the studio is Richard Gregory. Richard is a member of the Calgary Gay and Lesbian Community Police Liaison Committee. Welcome to Program Pride.
Thanks, Todd. Nice to be here.
It's good to have you back again. The Police Liaison Committee in Calgary was formed in May of '96. Why did that come about?
Well, basically, a group of people got together to discuss the issue, looking at what's happening in the city of Calgary, that there were a number of bashings occurring that we were hearing about indirectly. And yeah, wanting to know how many of them were being reported to the police, how are the police handling them, looking at what was happening in other cities, that Ottawa had a police liaison committee, that Edmonton had a police liaison committee. So we looked at those areas, looked at what was going on in the different cities. We'd had a couple of people who had moved down from Edmonton to share the information that they had and wanted to see something start up in Calgary. So we contacted the chief's office, and a meeting was set up with one of the deputy police chiefs initially. We had 2 meetings with that deputy police chief, and then it was passed on to the Cultural Resources Unit, and we started working with Staff Sergeant Lonnie Fritz and the people in the Cultural Resource Unit, and we've been off and running ever since.
Now, how does the structure work? It's from the Cultural Resource Unit, which I would imagine would deal with issues of diversity and racial and homophobic.
Yeah. We fit very well in that particular unit because they deal with all the diverse communities that there are in Calgary. And there are different officers attached to the different communities that they work with. And so we fit very nicely within that community, or within that unit.
Sure. Now, I was wondering, for people out there who are watching the program today, and they have a sense that I was attacked, physically attacked, either in a verbal way or physically, and sometimes you're not really sure. Was it because of my sexual orientation or my perceived sexual orientation? Yeah. How does the police liaison committee define gay bashing?
Well, what we look at is victimization based on perceived sexual orientation, because some people are attacked because they're perceived to be gay, or they're perceived to be lesbian. I know of an instance of a woman who was attacked because the attackers believed that she was a gay man, and you know, as it happened, she actually had to get to the point of exposing her breast to these people before that they would believe that she was a woman and not a gay man. So it's all about the perception of, and people can be assaulted verbally, they can be assaulted physically, there can be property damage directed towards them. All those are areas that we look at and that we want to explore and have people investigate, or have the police investigate based on victimization due to perceived sexual orientation.
Yeah. And I've noticed too, you've brought with you a copy of a pamphlet that we just had a close-up on before the segment. And it's a survey that you're distributing throughout the community.
Yeah. One of the first things that we did as a committee is wanting to know, how do we get a sense of what's the prevalence of assaults towards gays and lesbians, or assaults based on perceived sexual orientation. When people are reporting, how are the reports handled? Are people comfortable with the way they're being received? I also wanted to look at, if people aren't reporting, what is keeping them from reporting? One of the other things that we do in the survey that we're asking for is, what are the supports available? Where do people go for support when they've been a victim of one of these events? So the survey is basically our starting point. It's to get us to have a place to work from.
Kind of a base to start from.
Yeah, it will help us get information on, you know, what kind of information we need to get back to the community about how they handle these complaints, who they phone them to, what happens if they aren't received and handled in an appropriate way. Also information for the police to start looking at, you know, are these occurrences happening more often than what are being reported? Because we believe that there's a lot more bashings that are occurring than what are actually being reported.
Very similar to, well, even today, but a number of years ago, regarding rape. And a lot of those went on because there's a lot of shame and a lot of fear and things associated with any type of violent crime. One thing that I do know, that Edmonton as a community just received its first documented case a few months ago of gay bashing, but Calgary's had, it's my understanding, documented cases.
Documented under the hate and bias crimes, documented as a hate crime is my understanding. the legislation under hate and bias crimes, Bill C-41, is relatively new legislation, and Calgary, as of yet, does not have a case of gay bashing which would fall under a hate crime as of yet.
How do you think, how will that new definition in the criminal code of crimes on hate and bias, how will that affect the reporting and how it's dealt with?
What the biggest impact of Bill C-41 is in the hate and bias crimes, it comes at the time of charging. That a judge now, at the time of charging, if the evidence is such that the judge is led to believe that this was a crime that was based on hatred, the judge has more leeway in the sentencing in that they can attach a stiffer penalty to the crime based on the fact that it was a hate crime.
Excellent.
So that's how it happens. As far as how that affects the investigation part of it, is in Calgary we now have an officer that is responsible for the hate and bias crimes. And what Russ does is he looks at the evidence that's presented to make sure that all the groundwork is done for this case so that he has a good solid case when it does go to court. All the questions, all the reports were handled the right way, that the officers handled it efficiently at that time. So.
Now, once again, we get that ugly issue of homophobia cropping up again. It's such an obstacle to so many things. I'm wondering, what is your biggest obstacle?
Well, the obstacle in this situation, one of the things that we're looking at doing as far as with the committee is twofold. It's to educate the gay, lesbian, transgender community on the services available through Calgary City Police and to let them know that they have a right to protection the same as everybody else, and that when they make a report they have a right to be treated a certain way, and if they're not treated there is a recourse for them, and that hopefully the Liaison Committee will be able to provide some of that just liaison, that thing that we say we're going to do. Also, the thing is to do the education component for the Calgary Police Services so that they have an awareness of what the gay and lesbian community issues are, so that they can understand that.
And that fits in with your whole focus of these diversity workshops that you're starting to offer as well.
Yeah, we will have, we've done one diversity workshop with members of the committee focusing on sexism, racism, and homophobia. And that workshop was done for the volunteers and victim services, the staff and volunteers and victim services, and was very well received. The next one we have coming up was with the school resource officers doing the same type of workshop. Then we also
with the new recruits
have one coming up with the new recruits, and hopefully we'll be scheduled in to do a presentation on the new recruits. And that one is going to be specifically on gay and lesbian transgender issues that they will be confronted with, or the issues of the community that they need to be aware of. So we're working on that, and all of those are very exciting initiatives as far as doing education.
And they're very important issues too, I think. I commend you and the committee very much for your work, and I'd like to thank you for spending some time with us today on Program Pride.
Not a problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
So in terms of upcoming events, I wanted people to be aware that the Calgary Gay and Lesbian Community Services Association is going to be hosting Expressions Beyond Diversity, an annual art show that's taking place April 12. And this is a fundraiser for this organization, so think about going out and supporting this event.
Excellent. And on our next edition of Program Pride, we're going to be talking about the issues of gay bashing and also hopefully talking to the Calgary Board of Education about their action plan. So please look for us at your Shaw affiliates and give them a call. We'd love to hear some of your feedback. And if you don't get it and you're at a friend's watching this, remember to call and say you would like to see Program Pride in your area too.
Yeah, let us know how we're doing. Give us a call, drop us a line, fax us, send us a postcard. We always like feedback.
Excellent. Take care.
We'll see you next month.
Bye.